She pushed my hand off the back of her chair like it was a fly. No look, no joke, just a neat little shrug, and her eyes locked on the TV. That was the first flag. Megan always leaned into me on the couch. That night she sat forward, ankles crossed, arms folded, like a guest keeping her coat on. "You good?" I asked, halfway between the fridge and the sink. "Fine," she tossed, not turning. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have skipped the small talk and started with rules. I stood there with a beer I didn't really want and watched her pretend to watch a cooking show she never cared about. 10 minutes, 20. She laughed at a segment she didn't hear. When the credits rolled, she reached for her phone like it owed her money. "Work blow-ups." I tried again. "It's just a week," she said, patting the air. "Don't read into everything." "That's rich," I replied. "I read what's handed to me." She blinked at the screen. "Jake, I'm tired." "Of me or of today?" The question hung. She didn't answer. She clicked the remote and went to bed early without a word. That had never happened in our house. We'd been introduced by her sister Lauren 3 summers ago at a barbecue, and the three of us had been easy ever since. Normal is boring until it disappears. I lay awake staring at the ceiling fan, counting the gaps. I don't chase approval, but I do track respect like a hawk. And there was a draft in that room I couldn't ignore. In the morning I made coffee and a simple breakfast. Megan took the mug, looked through me, and left the food untouched. She kissed the air near my cheek. "I have an early meeting. Don't wait up if I run late," she said, collecting her bag. "How late?" "Depends," she shrugged, already walking. I let the door close. Then I took out a notepad and wrote one line. Something changed. Next to it I put a box. I don't do diaries. I do checklists. At lunch I called Lauren. She works in HR for a mid-sized logistics company on the east side. She's direct, faster than me, and the person who talked me into meeting Megan when I thought I was too busy for it. "You never call me from work," Lauren answered. "Either you nailed a promotion or you broke something." "I didn't break anything. I think something's off at home." "How off?" she said, voice dropping. "Quiet, cold, minimization. It's like I'm in the room and not in the room." She said, "Anything specific?" "It's just a week. Don't read into it." That's all I got. Lauren exhaled into the phone. Could be stress. Could be someone in her ear. Could be a phase. She chose, careful. "You don't buy that last one any more than I do." "Correct." "Okay. Practical stuff. Create space for her to talk, but don't beg. One ask. If she dodges, you set a line. You're good at lines." "I'll try tonight. You ever need to talk it out in person? You know I've got food and a porch," she added. "You always do," I said. When Megan came home, she was bright. Too bright for a day she claimed was heavy. "Hey," she set a bakery box on the counter like a peace offering. "I grabbed your favorite." "You don't know my favorite," I said, opening it. It was close, but not it. "Then tonight you teach me." She kissed my jaw like she remembered the map. "I've been snappy." "Sorry." "Snappy is a dog." "You've been distant," I replied, soft. She rolled her lips. "I know. Work." And my mom called with her usual list. I shut down sometimes. "Don't take it personally." "I don't take it personally. I take it seriously," I answered, sliding her a plate. "I want a real check-in tonight." 30 minutes. Phone's away. She glanced at the clock. "Maybe tomorrow?" I promised Janet I'd stop by her place. "She's moving." 30 minutes now. I held calm. "We can schedule Janet after." She picked up the fork, set it down. "Jake." "You want my time?" I said. "We use it like adults. I need to know if I'm planning with you or around you." "Okay," she agreed, reluctant. We sat. I asked simple questions. "How's your head? What's changed? What do you need from me?" She answered like she was paying a ticket. Minimal words, no story, a faint smile to keep the meter made friendly. When I pressed once, she glanced at her phone. "Janet really is expecting me," she said, standing. "You could have told me that before we sat down," I replied, pushing back my chair. "I told you yesterday," she tossed. "No, you told me don't read into everything." "Different sentence," I said. She took her bag. "I'll be back late." I held the door open for her, a little formality to mark the line. "Text me when you get there." She gave me a look. "Since when are you a hall monitor?" "Since the house got quiet," I said. She left. I closed the door and checked the box on my notepad. Something changed. Now I wrote a second line. Set new rules. Under it, One talk, then boundaries. The next week was a slow bleed. She came home later. She was quicker with jokes that had me as the punchline. Little public ones, too. At my friend Matt's birthday at the bowling alley, she waved off my spare and told the group, "He's good at straight lines. Curves confuse him." People chuckled. I smiled, not amused. On the drive home, she scrolled her phone. "Fun night," I said, easier than I felt. "Yeah," she murmured. "You do realize you turned me into a party trick." "Oh, come on. It was a joke," she flicked her wrist. "The sad kind," I said. "That won't happen again." "Are you serious right now?" she scoffed. "Very. If we go to events together, we don't undercut each other. I'm cutting group nights for a while. You can go. I'll be on my own program," I said, steady. "You're punishing me," she shot back. "I'm protecting my time," I answered. "If you want us, you know where I sit." She didn't answer. She turned on the radio and let an ad talk for us. At home, I pulled out my calendar and moved everything that was "maybe we'll go" to "no." I stopped chasing her into rooms to ask how her day was. I did my workouts after dinner, not waiting for a "maybe later." I split our shared expenses into 2 columns and texted her a simple note. "I'll cover mortgage and utilities. You cover groceries in your car. If you're late, I'm not filling gaps. This isn't a penalty. It's clarity." She read it and said nothing. For 2 days, she played nice. She made breakfast, asked about a project of mine, sat with me for a whole show. That was the first soft turn. It lasted until Thursday, when she had to stay late. She sent 4 words at 7:12 p.m. "Don't wait for me." Lauren called that night. "You okay?" You know her friend Janet. Apparently, she's moving for 5 days in a row. "Janet texted me a video of her feet in a bath tonight," Lauren replied. No boxes in the frame. I stood at the window and watched the streetlights. "Okay, then I'm done guessing." "What's your next move?" she asked. "Information," I said. "Then action." "Be careful," she said. "I'm not out to hurt anyone," I told her. "I'm out to end confusion." I hired a licensed investigator named Calder. He looked like an accountant and asked 2 questions I had prepared for. What exactly do I need to know, and what do I plan to do with it? I kept it simple. "I need to know where she goes when she says she's at work or with friends," I said. "No drama, no confrontation, data only. And then I make a plan that doesn't include raised voices," I said. "Good," he nodded. "That's exactly how this should go." Megan's next move was a second softening. Friday morning, she brought me a thermos and a sticky note. "You're my person." I smiled at the handwriting, not the sentiment. She kissed my cheek, too warm for someone supposedly drowning in work, and offered to swing by my job site with lunch. She did, showing up with a salad and a plastic grin just big enough for my crew to see. My foreman, Pete, a man who reads layers, shot me a look when she left. "You too good?" he asked. "We're adjusting," I said. "Looks like you're doing the adjusting," he muttered. "That's above my pay grade, but you're a straight shooter. Don't go crooked." "I won't," I said. My phone buzzed silently in my pocket while he talked. A text from Calder. "We should meet." Saturday morning, I met him at a coffee place 2 neighborhoods away. He slid a manila folder across the table as if it were a menu. Inside were dates, times, and places. Photos that didn't leave room for imagination. A name, an address. I didn't look long. I didn't need to. You know when a door closes. You also know when you closed it yourself. "What do you want to do?" Calder asked. "I'm going to move my resources and my presence," I answered. "I'll pay you now." He shook his head. "Invoice later." "Just a thought. Keep your powder dry. Keep your words few." "That's my brand," I said. I paid for both coffees and left. On the way home, I called Lauren. "You around?" "Always for you," she said. "What happened?" "I have black and white now," I said, keeping my voice level. "I'm not going to explode. I'm going to finish this like an adult." "Do you want company tonight?" she asked after a beat. "I want quiet," I admitted. "But I also don't want to sit in my house like it's a waiting room." "Come over," she said. "I'll make something edible. We can talk or not talk. Your call." I hesitated a half second. My morals were built by stubborn parents and hard seasons. Lauren had always been kind to me, too kind sometimes. I'd seen the extra warmth in her eyes and let it pass because it wasn't mine to catch. Now, though, the ground had shifted. My compass was still my compass. But I wasn't going to pretend I didn't see the road I was on. "Okay," I said. I'll be there at 7. Before I left, I set my house in order. I pulled out a file folder and placed inside the signed documents I'd arranged the previous day with a mediator, dissolution, property split by agreement, a list of accounts to be separated. I printed the report Calder had compiled and put it behind the documents. I packed 2 duffels, essentials, work gear, a spare set of keys. I moved Megan's packed boxes, the ones I'd started with her winter clothes she hadn't touched in months, into the hall closet, labeled with her name. I put the folder in the top drawer of the dining room console, the one she always used for napkins. I scribbled a note on top. Open. That was my line in stone. Megan texted at 6:11 p.m. Working late. Might crash at Lauren's. I looked at the message, let it sit, then put my phone face down and drove to Lauren's place. Lauren lives in a townhouse with a clean porch and a view of the city that makes you think in straight lines. When she opened the door, her face flashed about 6 emotions and settled on relief. Hey, she said. No speeches. Come in. She had jazz on low and chicken roasting. I took a stool at the island. She slid a glass of water to me without asking. It is funny how care can be quiet and still feel like a flood. Before you even ask, she said, she's not here. She hasn't been here. And if she texts me tonight with that line, I won't play along. I know, I replied. I'm past believing words over math. We cooked together, just working. She chopped, I stirred. I told her the bare facts. She didn't gasp or curse. She did what I needed. She listened and didn't make it about her sister, or about me as a hero, or about fate. After we ate, we sat on the couch. Lauren turned off the music. Where does this leave you? She asked. Free, I said, and not interested in a long goodbye. She watched me for a long moment. You know where this leaves me? She smiled at her own courage. In a place I've been for a while. I know. I replied, a rare confession. I saw it. I respected the line. And now, she asked, not coy. Now I'm not bound to a performance, I said. I'll move with integrity. But I'm done punishing myself for someone else's choices. We didn't talk about Megan after that. We talked about our jobs, about a friend's new dog, about the ugly lamp in her neighbor's window. We laughed. And when the laughs died down, we sat closer because it felt right and finally honest. Nothing scandalous, nothing you'd hide in shame. Just 2 people choosing each other without lies. At some point we fell asleep warm and calm, and my phone buzzed on the coffee table at 3:02 a.m. I'm at Lauren's, don't worry, Megan's text read. I held the screen up. Lauren covered her mouth, then chuckled into her sleeve. I set the phone down. Tomorrow, I said, with an ease I earned. We're done pretending. She nodded and leaned her head on my shoulder. I'm with you. At dawn I was up first. I made coffee in her small kitchen, scrambled eggs, sliced fruit. Lauren walked in wearing an oversized sweatshirt. She stole a piece of toast off the cutting board and fed me a corner of it with a grin that reached her eyes. We were mid-laugh when the door opened. Megan stepped into the kitchen, hair tied, a bright hay ready. It died fast when she saw me. Her face moved like a weather map, sunny to storm in 2 seconds. What is this? She demanded, looking from my hand on the spatula to Lauren's hand on my arm. Breakfast, I said easily. Good timing. Jake, she snapped. What are you doing here? And you? She turned to Lauren. What? I cut her off with a raised palm. Before you start shouting, go to the console in our dining room, top drawer. There's a folder. Open it. She froze, then tried to smirk. You're ridiculous. The folder, I repeated flat. Then talk. She stood there in Lauren's kitchen not moving, then pulled out her phone. Her thumbs flew. She waited. I could see the little dots in my mind like a stock ticker. When whatever response she got didn't match the fantasy, she moved toward the door, then stopped. What's in the folder? She asked, smaller. Clarity, I said. Go look. She left. 30 minutes later, she walked back into Lauren's place slower, holding the folder like it was too heavy. Documents for dissolution, she read, barely audible. And photos. A summary. Yes, I confirmed. Her eyes watered. You had someone follow me. No, I corrected. I had someone gather facts. I didn't shout. I didn't post. I didn't embarrass you. I said a line and I stuck to it. I can explain, she blurted. You can't explain math, I replied. You wanted 1 foot in a soft place and 1 foot in fun. You created that setup. I'm not a shelf for your off days. I made a mistake, she said fast, reaching for my arm. You made a system, I answered, stepping back. Cold at home. Jokes in public. Late nights. You thought I'd chase. I don't chase. I decide. She flinched at the last word like it wasn't part of me she knew. What about us? She asked, eyes moving to Lauren and back, hunting for ground. There is no us left to negotiate, I said, calm. Your things are packed. The documents are ready. You sign, I sign, we walk. So you're, what? Running to my sister, she fired, rage flickering through her shock. I'm walking out of a house that forgot what respect sounds like, I answered. Who I have breakfast with after that is not a committee decision. But since you sent me a text at 3 a.m. claiming you were here, I figured you deserved the true picture. Now you have it. She stared at me, then at Lauren. You two planned this. No, Lauren spoke for herself. You planned your part. He planned his. This is the result. Megan let out a short, broken laugh. So what now? You think family is going to back this? They're going to back truth, I said. We'll tell them today. All of it. No slant. They can decide who broke what. I'm done managing your optics. She stepped toward the door, then turned back, trying one last version of the mask she'd used all month. I still love you, she said, soft, the kind of line that worked on me when we were better. I didn't smile. You love the arrangement, I answered. Different thing. Lauren reached for my hand under the counter. I didn't hide it. Megan saw it, swallowed, and nodded to herself like she'd been preparing for this scene and hoped for a different script. Fine, she whispered. She tucked the folder under her arm. I'll sign. Good, I said. Leave the keys on the table when you pick up your boxes. She opened the door. Before she left, she looked at Lauren and tried for poison, then thought better of it. She stepped out without another word. We stood there in the kitchen, the smell of eggs going cool. Lauren looked at me. You okay? I'm effective, I said. That's enough for today. We spent the afternoon making calls. Not a gossip tour, just short, direct facts to parents, to a few mutual friends, to Matt and Pete. We're ending it. Documents are signed. There were late nights and other involvements. I have proof. No, I'm not screaming. Yes, Lauren and I are together. We didn't start until I ended it. You don't need to choose sides. Just know the truth before someone rewrites it. Most of the responses were some version of quiet respect. My father said, proud of how you handled it. Lauren's mother said, carefully, I wish this wasn't what it is, but I trust you, both of you. A couple friends tiptoed. A cousin tried a joke. I didn't engage. The point wasn't applause. The point was closing the door with the latch facing my way. Megan didn't fight. She signed. She collected her boxes while I was at work. She left the keys like I asked. And then she went quiet, which was the loudest thing she'd done in weeks. The next months were clean. I moved my office into what used to be the guest room and turned the primary bedroom into a place I actually liked. I swapped the worn couch for something that didn't sag under expectations. I adjusted my schedule, picked up an extra contract I'd been considering, and stopped sharing calendars with anyone who treated my time as background music. Lauren and I didn't sneak. We didn't post. We just dated like adults who could look each other in the eye. We had our first real night out at a small Italian place on a Tuesday. The owner knew Lauren from the neighborhood and brought us extra bread like we were old friends. Midway through, our waiter cocked his head, recognizing me from the hardware store I sometimes source from. Hey, you're the guy who built that custom bench for the school, right? He asked. That's me, I nodded. He glanced at Lauren and smiled. She picked a good one. She did, I said, not looking away from her. We built a rhythm. Saturdays we hit farmers markets. Sundays we did projects around the house. She's good with a drill and better with a budget. We were a team without the static. Nobody proved anything to anyone. And when hard days hit, as they do, we sat. We named what was off. We fixed it or we let it go. The conversations were crisp and short, not because we were cold, but because we were clear. Once, months later, Megan texted Lauren a photo of a coffee cup and a bench by a river with the caption, "Hope you're well." No question mark. Just a broadcast. Lauren showed me. What do you want to do with that? She asked. Nothing, I said. Not our business. And we got back to our own view, which was a backyard with plants that finally lived and a grill I wasn't keeping warm for anyone else. People ask me sometimes, men at work, cousins at dinners, how I knew when to stop trying. It's simple. There are seasons to push and seasons to walk. You push when the other person is in the ring with you, gloves on, fighting for the same thing. You walk when you realize you're shadowboxing and someone else is selling tickets. I didn't slam the door. I closed it, locked it, and threw away the key. I traded in my truck that winter for a reliable SUV with enough room for weekend trips. Lauren and I took one up to the mountains, where we tried and failed to learn cross-country skiing and laughed hard enough to earn hot chocolate. My business grew because I wasn't bleeding bandwidth. I started lifting earlier and sleeping deeper. My friends liked the lighter me. My parents liked the steadier me. I liked the man in my mirror. As for Megan, last I heard, she moved to a smaller place across town. A mutual acquaintance mentioned she's keeping to herself. No mud, no victory laps. She wanted options and found out options don't pay rent on respect. She doesn't contact me. I don't contact her. That's the agreement under all the legal lines we signed. If you want a lesson out of this, here it is. Attention is cheap. Respect is the currency. When someone spends yours like it's plain money, you close the account. You don't hand out warnings like flyers. You give one clear line, then you act. The quiet after is not loneliness. It's the sound of your life coming back to you. The morning she pushed my hand off that chair, she thought I'd keep reaching. I didn't. I folded my hand, waited 1 week, then took the wheel. When you live that way, with your spine straight and your mouth measured, you don't need grand finales. You make breakfast, you lay down a folder, you say one final sentence that seals it. Your things are packed, I told her. Take them and go back to where you were headed. I'm done with this conversation. That was it. No echo. No encore. And now I'm here, with a woman who stands next to me because she wants to, not because it's convenient. We eat on the porch Lauren talked me into building, and sometimes she feeds me a bite of toast just to make me roll my eyes. Life is not fireworks. It's a clean kitchen after breakfast and a plan that survives the week. I don't need romance novels. I need respect, and I have it.